Right, we've had a thumbs up from Jake. So our FA Cup special. Oh, lordy dordy, Jake's off already. St Albans City versus Forest Green Rovers. We'll get into that in a minute. So anyway, that's Jake Ellacott with a scarf. Good evening, Jake.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Dave.
And a very good evening to Lee Wood over there. It's been a lot more refined.
David, Jacob, how are you, boys?
Oh, unbelievable.
Scenes.
Well, it is unbelievable. We're going to talk about this quite remarkable game at the weekend. To come from a goal behind and get that result is something special. But you were there, Jake. Hartenden in that first half. They were poor, weren't they? They deserved to go 1 down at half time. On Sunday, not Saturday. Sorry.
Yes. Oh, dearie me. I mean, Saturday wasn't quite the feast of football that Sunday was.
No, the crowd was similar, very similar. Well, if you're taking the High Street and Sainsbury's as well.
Yeah.
Right, the win over Forest Green Rovers, our 4,925th game. Was it our biggest one?
I tell you what, I think there have been more important games. I honestly do that, but in terms of the theatre, the excitement, the stature, I don't think there's been many better. The best of times, Tavs. The absolute best of times. Where does it sit in your sort of ranking of City games?
That's interesting, isn't it? I've been wondering all week where to place it. It's up there. Does it beat promotions and whatnot when you've got the rewards for a year? I don't know, but a one-off game like that with the crowds, the cameras and everything, just adding to the thing, I couldn't place it. But in terms of a club, our second win over a league club, that shows how big it is and how rare it is for us to have days like this.
I'll tell you what it was as well, though, is that every man, woman, child, eco-rocker painted the club and the city of St Albans in the very, very best of lights on Sunday. And I think everyone came out of it with immense pride and has put St Albans City firmly back on the footballing map.
Back on it? When were we last on it?
That's because you're a miserable sod. Oh.
Right. We were the underdogs, no two ways about it. We're going well in our league. We were 14 games unbeaten before the game. They're top of theirs, unbeaten away from home in the league. So when they got that early goal, Matty Stevens scored. He's their top scorer. What was your mood?
I was more disappointed with the way we conceded. It was a poor goal to concede. I thought it seemed so easy. We'd seen out those first 10 minutes, and then to concede that, I was like, uh-oh, here we go again. But the response was just unbelievable. It was, I couldn't believe, I still can't get over it, but the way we rallied almost immediately, put that behind us, and just, those two goals in 3-4 minutes? This just set the place alight, didn't it?
Lee?
I got the feeling that, especially in the early phases of the game, we were a little bit slow out the blocks, and they could have scored at ease. You know, any sort of time they advanced, you just got the feeling they were going to create a really decent chance. But we grew into the game, and we matched them for composure and compassion and for skill as well. And as you sort of say, Jake, those two goals, mate, were absolutely fantastic, and they really did just make the whole place erupt. That said, though, when they scored the equaliser, it just put us back on the back foot again. It showed their class, just how easy it is for them to sort of pick through our defence. But, I mean, you expected us to sort of have periods where we were on the back foot, but it wasn't as though we were overawed by the occasion. And I think we played the game rather than the occasion. I think one of the biggest sort of criticisms of the team under Ian in the past years is that they haven't really sort of turned up for big games. Maybe they've got overawed by the occasion. This didn't happen now, and you could see us growing into the game, matching them across the board. And okay, they had two really well taken clinical goals, but you could probably say that for about two of our three, really.
In that first half, them getting the early goal, then scoring right on half time. I mean, they are two psychological blows, and a club in their position against a club in our position, you would expect them to go on. But as a team, we responded, didn't we? We didn't do the long ball. We stuck to what we played all season. We passed it around. We went backwards when we had to. That's such as a modern game. But we did take it to them. They had a lot more chances than us, as you would expect. But we didn't sit back. Once we had the ball, we went for it, and we got our rewards.
I will say that second goal, I thought actually, in a bizarre way, helped us, because that meant after half time, we couldn't really sit back. We had to keep going at them. We had to enjoy a lot of the ball, which we did. We did really well with the ball. And that second goal, I thought, even though it was a blow on half time, the whole crowd didn't, the whole crowd was still amazing afterwards. But yeah, that second half, the Saints came out so well. And for a lot of that half, it was just like, wow, we are really going toe to toe with League Two side and looking pretty comfortable that second half. And yeah, the winner, we'll get onto it. But yeah, I thought the Saints did so well to respond to both goals, as you say, and yeah, just unbelievable mental attitude.
It was. If you look in the closing stages, those last 5 minutes of added time, you expected it to drag, and it didn't. It flew by. And what did they create in it? They had that free kick, which was virtually a back pass to Michael Johnson, or the way the guy took it. They weren't able to pick it up. It's funny enough, in the way that we had earlier in the game.
It was so surreal, wasn't it? Because I'm all for like a game plan and sticking to it. But for Green Rovers, 90 minutes were up. They were a goal down in a cup tie, and yet they were still playing it around from the back. And it just I didn't understand why. Don't get me wrong, it played into our hands. But it was just really, really weird tactics. But we kept our shape beautifully, everyone to a man. And when you've got David Noble charging down sort of like 30-yard channel balls, just that adrenaline does get you through. But Forest Green tactics towards the end, I didn't quite get them, but that's for them to sort of get concerned about. But I thought we were absolutely brilliant. Everyone to a man, the effort that went in, and you can see as well they knew their jobs. And I heard Ian say on the TV that we were comfortable. I wouldn't say it was particularly comfortable, but I certainly didn't think that they were going to overrule us as they did in the first half.
Yeah, you mentioned about the players there, Lee. I've got to pick out one individual, Mitchell Weiss. He scored a goal. His first appearance in the competition proper, like it was for most of our players, of course. He scored a goal, had a hand in the other two. He might as well retire. He's not going to get better than that, is it, his career?
Well, you know what? Let's give it a go and find out, shall we? Because I tell you, if you can get a hat-trick against the Wood, mate, then he'll be up there.
But what did say? And I'm just highlighting one player there. Yeah. But so many others had games they're not going to forget.
You have to mention an absolutely sliding tackle of majestic, absolute execution from Big Dave. I mean, that came out of absolutely nowhere. I mean, that was absolutely fantastic. It was one for the cameras, certainly. But defensively, across the board, I thought we were absolutely top class. There were a few late lunges and throwing the body on your sort of line, but you expect that in games of that caliber, don't you? And I think we defended from the front, and it was so everyone to a man, Tabs. You mentioned one player, but they all did their job, even the subs. They knew their roles, they came on, and they have contributed to one of the best memories that I'm going to be taking away from Clarence Park in my lifetime.
Yeah, Michael Jackson. He weren't down there, was he?
Shambo!
Michael Johnson, a couple of important saves in there as well.
Yeah, but we expect that of him, don't we? And we know he can do it. And that save after DG tackle, really good. A couple others as well. He commanded that defence again on Sunday. There was a couple of sloppy goals, of course, we conceded, but we were brilliant at the back. MJ, superb. Big Dave, Alex Lancashire, 18 years old, doing that. First half he found his foot eventually, and some of the tackles he was winning that second half, unbelievable. The whole defence, we've had a go at them at times this season. Joy McKenna, Adebayi, all of them stepped up so well, and I think all we can say is thank you so much, lads, for that. Absolutely brilliant.
We could spend the next sort of 5 hours just absolutely praising them to the hill. It was a performance for the ages, wasn't it? Really, and they deserve all the plaudits that they're going to get, and they have done to date. Really well played, lads.
Yeah. Forest Green did make some changes to their side. They dropped some of the players who have been ever present all this season, and they made 4 changes from the side that drew at Bradford City the week before. But the players they brought in, one of them had played in all 19 games. The others had played 14, 13 and 11 games. That was not a weak side they put out.
No, not at all. Their manager in the week before talked about how much he wanted to progress and how seriously he was taking the game. I think we saw that with the lineup they picked. And I know Forest Green fans are utterly disappointed with that performance and that result. Looking online, their support is in the ground. They were so flat, weren't they? After we took the lead at 2-1, they just never got going again. So yeah, they took it seriously, but we matched them perfectly.
We mentioned Nobby earlier, Lee. Some debate whether we start with him or not. There's still some life in the old boy, isn't there?
We said if he's fit, he starts, undoubted, and I think he justified his selection because he is one of the best midfielders in the entire league. And it's that extra sort of 15% of adrenaline that will sort of get you through games as well. But his experience, he's been in games much bigger than this, but his influence on those around him really does take everyone to the next level. Just sort of going back to what young Jacob said there, the Forest Green fans were disappointed. They were giving us some jip, mate, when they equalised. Good job they were behind that cage. But the whole day, Tabs, I mean, I don't know, again, we've probably never seen this at Clarence Park, mate. This level now that the players have taken themselves to. Can they repeat it? Can they continue it? Can they take this form now into the league? Only time will tell.
Well, second in the table, they're just maintaining that form, aren't they? But David Noble, after the game, I stood at the end of a tunnel for quite a while with Neil Metcalf from the Hearts ad, and the players were coming out, and Nobby came out, and he was as buoyant as a 15-year-old. He was excited by it, and MJ came out and a few others and talking to them, and they're saying, do they want a big tie in the next round, a big club? Or do they want a possibly easier one to then have a shot at getting in the third round? And they kept knocking that around, but they were all just so buoyant, and it's understandable. And when those supporters flooded the pitch at the end, there was a steward in front of us trying to say, no, look behind you, mate. There's about 2,000 already on there. And it was just celebrations, wasn't it? There was no nastiness of the people on the pitch. It was just celebratory.
As it should be, yeah.
It was a perfect representation of the club, the fan base, and the whole city, wasn't it? The whole day went perfectly. The celebrations at the end, absolutely superb, saying nothing nasty at all. And it was just so joyous. And it was just not St Albans City. This isn't us. We're not meant to win this. We are not meant to do this. We're not meant to be on TV and do this. But we did. I do want to mention, of course, Shaun Jeffers with the winning goal, but also Zane Banton. So happy for him. He's been with the club for so long now. He loves the club. He loves the supporters. Had that broken leg, almost 2 years ago now. He's come back. He took his goal so brilliantly. Watching it back on the highlights, at the time up the other end, I was talking to someone, suddenly the ball's in the air. I'm like, what happened there? But watching it back, absolutely amazing. So happy for him. Of course, Shaun Jeff as well. But yeah, so happy for the whole community of St Albans. And I hope they come back.
Well, you mentioned a second goal. That first goal, what a beautiful glancing header. And to show that we weren't trying to sit back and hold on to just a one goal deficit at half time. When Mitch glanced it on, there were two other players sliding in, trying to get the touch. Yeah. I think at the start of that move, we had about 5 players around the edge of the box. We were going for it.
Yep, and another brilliant cross from a certain Mr. Johnny Goddard.
Yeah. League standard, that player. Seriously, bar none. But that goes to sort of show as well, when you get the quality of delivery, you're creating half the chances there, aren't you? But that wasn't our go-to ball. We were playing intricate passes in and around the box, and it was beautiful to watch. One thing I would say for our winner, I'm really, really glad that the referee didn't blow for a free kick, because there would have been half a dozen referees in our league, Tabs, that would have blown up straight away. The fella slipped. It was absolutely correct, choice there, and a cool finish. First time, brilliant from Shaun Jeffers. Superb.
Lee, behind the goal in real time, how long did it take for that ball to drop into the net?
2 days.
For me, it felt like forever. Watching it back now, it was almost instantaneous. But at the time, I was like, "Is that going in? Is this happening?" Oh. But we have to say, Shaun Jeffers as well. We know he's a brilliant finisher, but how brilliant was that finish? Mitchell Weiss, superb with the layoff, but Shaun, absolutely unbelievable.
Well, Mitch was so unselfish to put that ball across there, because he could have had a go, could have gone for glory there, but Did the ball take a little bobble before Jeffers hit it? It looked like it, which may explain why his shot actually looped in rather than went along the ground.
Well,
They all count, Tabs. They all count.
Yeah, great
Exactly.
finish. 18 goals in 17 games. That's not a
Oh.
bad return.
It must be going on for some sort of record, isn't it, Dave?
Bit of a slouch, really.
So after the game then, Tabs, how did you celebrate, my friend? Did you have a half a porter or two?
Can't remember what I did, Lee. It was all just a blur.
He stood with Neil. That's it.
Well, there you go.
It was great just soaking it all up, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The crowd, 4,100. And some supporters changed ends at half time, just like in a normal league game. There was that much room there. You could have comfortably got 1,500, maybe even 2,000 more in there. And it would have got a bit tighter then, but there was room for more, wasn't there?
Yeah, me and Lee stayed at the Hatfield Road end, and there was so much space, wasn't there, Lee? It was such a good atmosphere as well at both ends. You know, we've had a go about the kids, etc., in the last few weeks and months, but I thought everyone in the crowd was absolutely brilliantly behaved. The atmosphere was superb. Didn't see any issues at all from our end or on the TV. And as you say, Dave, whole crowd brilliantly. Room for more. It's a shame we couldn't get in more. I think we could have easily sold out a couple of thousand more. But yeah, just brilliant, and just what a treat.
I think we're splitting hairs here, fellas, if I'm honest. And you know, everyone is still emotionally drained from the whole day. I mean, it was brilliant because the thing is, this now will just take the club on, and all those fans that were umming and ahhing, should I watch it on the telly? They'll come back. They'll come back in their droves now. And the little kids, yeah, you're right. The first time around, they were little spunk trumpets and they were causing all sorts of havoc. But now they're going to come back, Tavs. And they're going to, all the dads and the mums and the families, they're going to come back. And the terrace is going to be packed. And that's how it should be down at Clarence Park, watching our team. And if they play like that again, if they play like that in any sort of way, you know, who knows what we can achieve this season, seriously.
On a different point, you wonder if this might actually speed up our exit from Clarence Park. The council may come on board now and say, right, yes, okay, if you're going to get these sort of crowds, we're going to give you a stadium to help you get a stadium to fit. And for the owners, it could be just the thing they're looking for.
2 years ago, the council did change the wording in the local plan. And they sort of changed it to, you know, we will now actively help St Albans City Football Club look for a ground, which is massive in comparison to what the wording was for the previous 10, 20 years. It was interesting to read Lawrence's notes about the sustainability aspect of what he wants to sort of bring to the club, etc. And you know, there's no better model than Forest Green to look at that. And that should come into the equation, no problem about it. But it's an age-old thing, Tavs. Where do you put a ground in St Albans now? You know, the first priority has to be housing. You know, you have to house everyone that wants to sort of come here. Mm-hmm. They tried to have the ground on the edge, didn't they, towards Noak Lane? But the number of houses scared the council silly. I think the council are now coming around to the way of thinking that we're not just another small team, if you like. They can't ignore us anymore. But that said, there's so many more levels of conversations to be had between the owners and the council. This isn't going to be done in the next sort of 10 years. So, but again, this might speed it up, mate. I hope it does. But again, this is the council's hands are tied to a certain degree when they can't even get their own plan through government. So, but again, with performances like this and scenes like, and I thought the BBC portrayed us absolutely splendidly on the day as well. The coverage was first class, and that will only put us again in a better light for the government. So,
yeah, I agree. I mean, Dave, I believe you contributed a little bit to the BBC coverage. You know, you helped out a little bit, so well done there. I love the mention of Billy Minter at the start. Absolutely.
I haven't seen it yet, Jake.
Oh, you I think you'll love it, Dave. It's only short, but it's yeah. Do they have those in Bedfordshire yet? So that was brilliant. But on the counterpoint to Clarence Park, how well did Clarence Park and the surrounding areas cope with such a big game as well? It all seemed to be the whole fair play to the club. I thought it went really well on the day, on the whole. Really worked really well. We have to compliment them when it goes well, and it really did. So well done. And I thought the whole area, the whole town and city was buzzing, wasn't it? But Clarence Park as a whole, York Road, Clarence Park, etc., there was no issues at all. It all worked brilliantly, and it shows that if we do get promoted, if we have more big games, Clarence Park can cope in the meantime until we get our big ground, and we should not be scared of stepping up a level.
It can. The one thing that was a problem was the obstructions, the number of obstructions in people's view. There were many. I found a site, I was dead lucky where you could see everything except for one corner. A lot of people didn't have as good a view as that because of all the gantries for the TV. A new ground would hopefully cater for those things in their planning. But that aside, yeah, you're right. The ground stood up to it very well.
Yeah.
One thing also, we've got to give praise to Ian Allinson. It all goes to the players, but Ian Allinson, and also to the club. They do take stick, quite rightly so, for some of the decisions they've made over the last 2 or 3 years. But Ian Allinson, we've had a couple of seasons under him, not successively, where we've struggled against relegation, and other seasons where we've gone close to playoffs, and now we've got this season here. You stick with a manager, more often than not, it'll come good. But you see what we've lost in the Premiership already this season? Is it 5 managers? Something ridiculous. And they're only 11 games in.
Yeah. Ian is such a wily old fox at this point, isn't it? But, you know, what struck me about watching the coverage back is how much he took it all in his stride, all the interviews, all the attention, everything. Just perfect. I mean, he did an interview at the start of half time, and he just seemed so seamless about it. And it was just brilliant. And you know, a lot of clubs and a lot of teams would have struggled in that, but he managed the players perfectly, as well with Chris Winton and the rest of the management team. And I think Ian was probably the perfect manager for the occasion, for this whole season. Really, he's been absolutely perfect. And as you say, you know, hats off to him. We've questioned some of his tactical decisions at times this season, but he got that absolutely perfect, and he deserves the freedom of the sea for it.
He's got that now, though, isn't he?
Isn't it bizarre? The National League South, 21 clubs, 12 have gone out to lower league opposition. 3 were in the first rounds at the weekend, and 1 has now beaten a Football League side. And funny enough, some people were saying, Forest Green Rovers supporters are saying themselves, Division 2, whatever they call it now, League 2, is not as strong as maybe it should be. But you can't take that away from our victory. To come from where we are, to do that is incredible.
So here's the question then. So we're going to have made some serious dollar over the course of this cup run. How much of it now do you reckon the club should reinvest back into the side? Because we're playing well. We've got a really well-structured, determined balance of players. We're still going to need some quality, you know, because ultimately, yes, you can have young endeavour and guile as much as you like, but we do need some quality. And that is a point showed by Noble and Goddard throughout this run. How much do you reckon now Ian's going to want to buy some more players, some quality players, or do you reckon he's going to sort of see it out and purchase as and when he's needed?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because when you're doing your budget at start season, you should never allow for anything from the FA Cup, because you can go out at the first hurdle and you probably lose on your expenses if you had a rotten trip somewhere. So all this money, and it's well over 100,000 the club's made already. Everybody knows that. And there's more to come, possibly. Do you throw it short term into the players for one season to get you up and have some left for next season? You've got to be careful with it, haven't you?
I'm not saying they spaff it all, don't get me wrong, but what I'm saying is that, you know, whereas in the past, maybe we've got 20, 30 grand in a cup run. That doesn't mean 20, 30 grand goes into coffers. It just means the owners put 20 or 30 grand in less. But now we've got some serious money burning a hole in our pockets. And yes, of course, you know, the match day experience would have cost the club more, stewarding and catering, etc. But in the cold light of day, would it be a little bit naive to not reinvest back into this side?
I think it would be, given how we're performing in the league. We have got a chance in the league this season. You know, of course, our start wasn't great, but the way that other sides, I mean, look at Dartford, dropping points all over the shop at the minute. They seem to be doing it for fun. There is a real chance of us going up by a playoff or automatic or whatever. It's a long way away, but there's a chance to invest. And it doesn't have to be loads. It could just be 1 or 2 key areas, and it could make the difference. Now, it's interesting. Of course, we have the academy scheme now. and it seems the club is aiming a lot more towards that. We saw even in the squad on Sunday as Sam Meeks, etc., even got squad numbers. So I think the club will probably look to still aim to use that pathway. But if the owners are really interested in promotion, which they've said they want to be a football league club, then surely they've got to invest. Hasn't got to be a lot, but something this season into the squad.
You're talking about money from the FA Cup there. Last 10 years, before this year, the highest amount we got was 27,500, then a couple of 24.5, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons where we've got under 10,000. So it's just a different world. The money we brought.
Have you got that on some sort of spreadsheet, Tabs? What's going on there?
I had it ready just in case, Lee. And
sad man.
And so the squad, what I'm trying to say is the squad's got us to where we are already this season. You've got to be careful. If you bring players in, you look at Havant, and they've brought in a lot of big names, and all right, they're close to getting in the playoffs and whatnot. There's still a long way to go. But if you get the wrong players, you could upset what you got.
Well, we're not. We've done it before. A certain Charlie Walker, and who else did we sign that window?
Mate, we've had some rotters. Loic Perez, remember him?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know what you're saying, fellas, but this is it. And this sort of goes back to what Jake was sort of mentioning on about Ian. You know, I think he's got a maturity from such young players now. I think he's got the squad he actually wants. We've been quite unlucky with injuries. So all I'm sort of saying is we haven't got to go out and buy 4 or 5 players. Just maybe 1 or 2 really quality individuals that can help the team. There's no point buying individuals that aren't going to improve the side. You don't want like for like. That's no good to us. We might as well keep with what we've got. But I'm just thinking, you know, we've got all this money. I'm not saying we go out and waste it, but certainly there is room for investment there, certainly.
It's interesting you mention injuries. It gives us that room, doesn't it, to invest if there are further. You know, a lot of fans wanted someone to bring in for Devontae. Ian didn't, and Big Dave's done a brilliant job at right back. So fair play to Ian, Big Dave, and everyone again. I say it now gives us a bit of capacity to, if we need to strengthen. I mean, there's always a risk we might lose someone this season as well. Our players might get so much attention. There's now that money that is there.
You mentioned, sorry, Tabs, but you mentioned Big Dave there. In the first half in particular, they target him, didn't they? And he was getting rinsed on a regular basis on that wing. But he stuck to it. He done his job really well. He got some cover. And he saw the game out really well. He settled himself down. He got the measure, didn't he, of his man in the end. And that's the sort of versatility you want in the sort of in the players that you've got in the side now. I have to reiterate the performances and the legwork that our players did. They did us really, really proud on Sunday, and massive well done. And they deserve a good week's rest, undoubtedly.
You talk about the injuries there. With them, money we've got, if you like, you don't have to go out and buy players. You can just get players in loan to cover for injuries, which would be a good way around it. Something may come of that. But of course, we've taken steps in the last 24 hours to put a couple of the younger players on contracts to ward off anybody who's sniffing around, or at least get them to make a serious bid. We'll start with Alex Lancashire. He's coming at left back. He's been a revelation, hasn't he?
Oh, I mean, I can't get over him. If you'd said at the start of the season Alex Lancashire would be playing for us in the first round of the FA Cup at left back, we'd have been, you're absolutely insane. It shows how much talent he has, though, doesn't it? When, you know, he is able to adjust to that position and do so brilliantly. I think it's helped. He's had some really experienced players around him as well. But yeah, both of them done brilliantly. I mean, I have to question, now we've got this 100 grand. I wonder how much their contracts are. What, 10, 20k a week? Something like that?
I'm not quite sure about that. I'm not quite sure about that.
But yeah, Alex Lancashire, Hugh Dawson, we'll mention him in a minute, but I think Alex Lancashire is probably up there with one of our players of the season quite easily, isn't he? You know, just the way he's come in and what a job he's done. Well,
he's 19. He's the right age to make an impression. If he's going to do it, get up, is going to be now, or certainly within the next 6 months or year or so. But another way of looking at it, he's only played 15 games at this level. It's too early to talk about him going on to Football League clubs. You look at John Mitchell, he played over 40 games. Ian Dowie had 60 with us, another 130 odd for Hendon before he went to Luton Town. And even Dean Austin, he has 75 games with us before he went on to Southend and Tottenham. So it's very early to talk about Lancashire on the same sort of level.
It is really early, but that is why it's brilliant that he signed this new deal. He's got a bit more longevity with us, and it protects the club, of course, as well. I say, Dave, he does need more experience with proper men's football, but at the same time, if someone is that talented, the bigger clubs in the Football League and even the Premier League will not waste their time in picking him up if they see that talent there.
Or possibly even Conference National, whatever the thing's called nowadays. Go on, Hugh Dawson, middle of midfield. He came on a sub Saturday, a very big game for him because he's 2 years younger. He's only 17.
Yeah, and I thought he did really well when he came on. Didn't do much wrong at all, and a bit more legs in there again. And I have to say, I mean, did he make it to school on Monday? Imagine being him. Blimey heck. 17-year-old, you got David Noble spraying champagne in your face in the changing rooms at 9 o'clock at night. I don't think you're making it to school the next day, are you?
Do you reckon he sort of sat there on Monday in double silence thinking, I was playing football this time yesterday. This is outrageous. You know, but these contracts, they tell me that the players are just as committed to our club as the club are to investing in those players as well. And it's a magnificent thing to see. And I like the way the photographs were a little bit dodgy because Ian looked, he had a few beers, like, you know, but they were sort of signing away. And it was really good to see because it shows intent now. And it shows that if players do want to play for us, they're going to get rewarded for that. And their performances are absolutely fantastic. And on the flip side of that, if clubs do want to come in for these players, they're going to have to buy them. You know, they're going to have to spend some money to prize them away. Otherwise, they are going to be our players, fantastic, young, hungry players for many, many years to come.
You talked about Sam Meeks on the bench, one of you did. I talked to Dean Austin after the game, and he's singing the praises still of his B team, which he will because it's his team. But he believes there's a couple more yet that could come through, whether it be this season or not. We'll find out in the fullness of time. But he is certainly convinced that the academy is working well.
It looks to be doing really well, and I think what is pleasing is how much Ian has bought into it as well. I think when Dean was appointed, when Dean came in, I think a few people were a bit concerned. What is all this about? Will they work together? Will it cohesive? And will it be good enough to get us a strong squad that can compete? But you have to say, Ian's really bought in. He's had a lot of faith in Dean and the academy side. Dean's doing, I think, a good job with the academy.
He had to, though, Jake. He had to, because he did. Yeah. It wasn't going to work, mate.
No.
From you know, the early stages. If Ian didn't buy into it, you know, we've had this thing that Dean Austin always sniffs around when there's like a manager in trouble down at City. But the thing is, now he's got a role, he's got a project, and he's now facilitating that love for the club that he's always had. And Ian, on the other side, is reaping the rewards of it. He's got some young, hungry players, and if Dean Austin can keep feeding these talented youngsters through, maybe we won't need to invest any money because we'll have a nice stream of fantastic homegrown players at our disposal.
Have we got anything bad to say about the club at the moment?
Fruit's a bit ropey. There was a little shed on the side which was selling Lidl's lemon drizzle cake and oat milk, I think. But apart from that, mate, it was absolutely top banana.
Actually, the sound system was awful. For some reason, it wasn't working. It just wasn't coming across right. We couldn't hear it. I don't know what it's like behind the goal where you were.
It was pretty all right behind the goal. So it's funny that you had that issue. I think the only other comment was a bit of a queue for the beer before the game. But, you know, what will we do?
Really, why would that be?
Oh, dear.
Didn't run out of J2Os, did they?
Don't think so.
I have to say, it was really good. Sorry, Taz, before you go. The amount of ex-players who bought tickets for the game. Yeah. There was Junie Marias, Darren Locke was there, Peter Risley was there, Dean Williams and Edwards and Gurns and Colfer. They were all there. It's really, really good to see that, you know, even though they're players of generations past, they still actually give a monkeys about the current team, which is absolutely amazing to see.
All fairly local, that lot, aren't they? Which is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kept very interesting. Yeah, you mentioned one of you about the third goal when Kane Wilson slipped and Mitchell Weiss got the ball and put it across. How well the referee did there. He was an ex-Premier League referee, Bobby Madley, and didn't he have a good game?
Yes, I thought he did really well. He didn't really fall for Forest Green's tricks and diving too much, particularly, and I think he was very fair. And we're going to say this because we won, but as you say, Dave, I thought he did really well. He was probably the perfect man for the occasion. Actually, ex-Premier League, brilliant atmosphere. He just did his job perfectly, and he was actually, this is a compliment, pretty unnoticeable for us, for me anyway, behind the goal. Didn't really notice what he did wrong. That's because I thought he did a really good job.
But funny enough, in the build-up to their first goal, the ball came in, when it went out again, then came back in, they got the goal. From behind the goal, you wouldn't have seen it, but it's dead in line with us. There was an offside in there, wasn't there? I haven't seen it on the TV, the replay yet, but early in the build-up, it looked offside. All of us around us straight away said, he's offside, it's offside. But linesman kept his flag down, and it was costly.
It looked it, but I think McKenna was just level for me. I think so. Yeah. But again, good officiating, because he let the play go, and there was, it was the referee was great, but we shouldn't even be talking about him. We should talk about how majestic our players were, mate.
If he's that good, we're signing him. He's almost as good as us.
We've got the money, mate. We've got the money now.
Yeah. Are we finished on that then? Oh no, one thing. I haven't seen the TV thing yet, but I did catch the highlights. That view from above, looking down, isn't it fantastic?
I talked to a few City fans afterwards. How good did Clarence Park look on the day, and especially on the TV as well, watching it back, Dave? That grand old ground is still got it, hasn't it? It is absolutely superb, and just it's the cliche magic of the cup, but the magic of Clarence Park, I think, is just beautiful.
Well, for those of you listening to or watching the commentary TV with a commentary by Robin Cowan, I think we were there for her first game, Jay, when she was a reporter doing a Banbury match 11 years ago against us, and she was writing then, she wasn't even talking, and so we're gradually following her career as she goes along.
So she's improved a lot. Well, we're still stuck here.
Yeah, but maybe we shouldn't have mentioned that.
Yeah.
Right, well, we've actually got nothing coming up this weekend except the B team are over at Harpenden Town in the Albury Cup, which is about the biggest trophy you'll ever see. So it'd be good to go over there and see them. Who are we supporting, Jake, with our season tickets? Harpenden or City B?
I don't know. I'm up in Leeds. I'm not there, mate.
But next Tuesday we are back in action, 16th of November, home to Dulwich Hamlet. Now we've got this run of home games, and this is an important game. A lot of the teams up top drop points at the weekend. Dulwich and Dorking are gradually getting up there now. This is a very important game.
It is, but I have to say this weekend off is perfect timing, isn't it, to get ready for it? Perfect timing, luck of the draw, and I think the Saints are going to be perfectly prepared, and they're going to be going into it such a high. It's going to be unbelievable, and I think it's going to be a really good atmosphere and good crowd as well. We know Dulwich travel fairly well, their support, and hopefully there'll be a lot of Saints fans down there as well.
Will it be a return to a league form where we just turn up for a second half because the first half ain't worth watching?
Works for me, Savs. But can I just say, Jacob talks about luck of the draw there. We're going to have to sort of touch on this, aren't we?
Do we have to?
Talk about the magic, take away the magic of the cup in one foul second. It's like someone giving you a birthday cake and then pushing it in your face and kicking you in the knackers on the way through. It was just like, our reward is a team we played twice a year for 10 years. It's 2 stops on the train. How cruel can the FA Cup be? Shocking.
Bournemouth hoping the game might be on TV, judging by the thing they put out today. A ground holds 4,500, but they put a limit of 3,500 on it, which I don't quite understand. And 1,000 those tickets are coming to us when they go on sale, and we could sell that, I think, 5 or 6 times over, maybe more.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be a new ground for some of our regular fans, mate. So that should be good.
Compared to what it was when we first started going there, it's a new ground completely anyway. But it's a magnificent ground now, Bruffinge Road, whatever they call it, and it is quite superb. The pitch is magnificent.
The away end isn't the most luxurious, though, from what I understand. The rest of the ground is nice. The away end, I have to say, fair play to Bournemouth for their update today. It's actually really quite clear and concise as to what's going on, and it's good to get an idea of numbers already, and good to know that hopefully, maybe by the end of this week, we might have an idea as to when tickets are going on sale. And as you say, how quickly are those going to go?
They're going a day, less than a day, easily, an hour.
Oh, maybe a couple of hours. Oh, but yeah, as you say, Dave, it's a shame we're actually restricted to 1,000. I don't really know why the capacity is under what we'd expect. I think it's not. If the Saints had any more than the 1,000, I think there's a real chance we'd be outnumbering the home sport.
Well, there's a case for segregating the Wood fans, isn't it, and give us the other 3/4 of the ground.
Yes, love it.
Love that, Taz. Mug them off already, mate. That's brilliant.
Just studying figures there, you know.
Yeah, you've got them all there, mate. How much do they learn now, then?
There we go. Oh, you two have got to make a prediction for next Tuesday. Dulwich Hamlet at Clarence Park.
2-1 City.
Oh, I'll go 3-1 City. Back to Bournemouth. Hopefully, it's at a sensible time and it doesn't kick off at like 7:45 on a Monday or something. Hopefully, we get a nice Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon game as well, so all the City fans can come down and enjoy it. Hopefully. And
just a quick question, fellas. Do you see this as like a very winnable tie in terms of us sort of getting on to the next big one, or would you have liked to see a bigger club at this stage?
Last night, when I watched the draw, immediately I was so upset, but mainly because it's Boreham Blooming Wood. But now I think about, and I've talked to a few people that aren't as close to City as we are, and they've said to me today, that's quite a good draw for you boys, isn't it? And I was like, why do you think that? He said, obviously, Boreham Wood are going well, top of the league, but they are beatable. They're a conference side, and they've said, you've beaten Forest Green, why can't you fancy yourselves against Boreham Wood? The more I think about, we have got a chance. Of course, it's really annoying.
It doesn't work like that, does it, Jake?
No,
we've been there before, fella.
It doesn't, but I think we've got a chance.
We've definitely got a chance. Common sense tells you Bournemouth are going to win, just like common sense will tell you Forest Green Rovers are going to win. The magic of a cup lives on, as we discovered.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have amazing support there on the day at Away Sports.
We'll have 1,000.
Brilliant. Yeah.
It'd be interesting to sort of see whether you still think it's magic as we're getting run down Bournemouth High Street, mate, to be honest with you, towards the station. So, but let's wait and see. Magic of the Cup. Brilliant.
Well, yeah, hopefully we don't have any events like when we played them in the Hearts, one of the Hearts trophies back in the early 2000s. Hopefully it's a bit better behaved than
Absolute carnage. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, good stuff.
But, we're on such a high at the minute. Of course, we've got quite a few league games before that. We could lose our next 3 and then suddenly we've but why not be positive about at least the day?
I suspect IA will be hoping that Dave Rock's not referee.
Yeah, and it is worth mentioning, of course, how big a game is this for Ian?
Yes,
huge.
Yeah,
well, he's put them where they are, hasn't he? He
Yeah,
got them there.
and how up for it is he going to be?
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating.
very, very good.
Yeah.
Right, I think we're done.
We are done.
Oh.
Fellas, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been emotional.
Well, let's hope in 3 weeks' time we have to do another one of this length, because that'll be good news again.
Yes.
Love the Saints. Love the Saints.
Thanks everyone again for engaging our Twitter. We've got a brilliant video on there of the winning goal. Go for at a pod full of Saints. Get involved. Give us your tweets. Give us everything. Email us as well. Thanks again for all the views. We've been, the amount of people watching us. Don't know why. I mean, but it's been absolutely brilliant. So,
boredom is rife in Hertfordshire these days, mate. I think. It's...
Well, one thing, Lee, that FA Cup, is that yours or have you nicked it from Ian Hall?
This, my friend, is Mr. Hall's.
Yeah, I thought so.
I thought it should take pride of place on today's pod. This did the rounds, mate, on Sunday. You had the MP shaking it around in the back garden of the Mermaid. Everyone wanted pictures with it. This is probably more famous than Ian Hall himself, if I'm honest. So, well, true, but yeah. So this is the original. Got to look after it.
Oh dear. And yeah, so I suppose from us, thank you very much again for watching all our videos. If you want to watch any back, just look across our YouTube. And yeah, I think from us, is that goodbye then?
It is, and we'll see you all at Clarence Park next Tuesday.
Come on, you Saints.